Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We're going to go ahead and get started, and I just want to go ahead and begin with a brief overview, a quick agenda for this morning. So we're going to start with our presentation on the Rural Community Investment Program, and that'll be presented by myself and Florida Commerce. Then a little bit after that, we will turn it over to Mandy Wright, who will discuss funding through the Florida Rural Investment Fund. And then finally, rounding out the webinar, joining us in the last portion will be also with Florida Commerce, Ben Latham, to go through a presentation on the Opportunity Zones 2.0 program. So without further ado, we're going to jump right in and get started. So quick introduction again. Good morning. My name is Rich Smith. I am the Director of the Office of Small Business Innovation. It's my pleasure to speak with everyone today to talk about capital solutions for rural economic development. Within Florida Commerce, we have the Division of Economic Development, which supports the creation and expansion of Florida small businesses. We attract out-of-state businesses to Florida, and we further economic development across the state, and we facilitate the state's economic development partnerships. As part of this division, I represent the Office of Small Business Innovation, and we're dedicated to promoting economic prosperity for Florida small businesses through administration of various capital programs. And that concludes today's presentation on the RCEIP program. So a quick overview. The Rural Community Investment Program, also known as RCEIP, was established in November 2025 by the Florida Department of Commerce. RCEIP provides tax credits against corporate income or insurance premium taxes to encourage investment in rural business investment companies that subsequently invest in eligible businesses located in rural communities throughout Florida. Some highlights of the program. Certified rural funds provided by the RCEIP will receive tax credits equal to 25% of improved investment authority. That means for every $4 investment, a tax authority will receive $1 in tax credits. Additionally, up to $7 million in tax credits can be issued annually over a 5-year period. Florida is looking to invest a total of $50 million in rural communities and will be accepting applications on a rolling basis until December 1, 2029, or until available funds are allocated. So a little bit about the application requirements. To become a certified rural fund in Florida, applicants must meet the following criteria. Be a licensed rural or small business investment company. Provide evidence of at least $100 million in prior investments in rural counties within the U.S. Submit an estimate of the total number of new and retained jobs expected over the life of the program. And finally, submit a comprehensive business plan. Please note that the application is designed to ensure all required components are complete prior to submission. Each page of the application is locked until that specific requirement has been met. Now I can walk you through a bit of the life cycle snapshot. First step is to complete and submit an application to Florida Commerce. As previously mentioned, applications are deemed complete when all requirements have been met according to the department's guidelines. Note, if you begin but do not finish or submit an incomplete or resubmit an application that is later deemed incomplete, the applicant will be notified by Florida Commerce, specifically the RCEIP program manager, for missing items, and you'll be asked to complete the application. Once the application is completed and received, the department then has 60 days to review and complete the review process. Following that 60-day review process, upon approval, a credit certification letter will be issued to the applicant via email. The date the letter is signed will be considered the rural fund's certification date. Next, the rural fund will be required to meet 2 investment thresholds to prevent credit recapture. And finally, the rural fund must comply with annual reporting standards outlined by the department. I'll discuss the significance of the certification date and investment thresholds in the next slide. Investment requirements. Here, I'll reiterate that credit certification dates are established based on a date of the certified letter is signed. The 1-year anniversary of that date is considered the second certification date, and the 2-year anniversary of that date is considered the third certification date. Please make note that the corresponding investment requirements. 60% of investment authority should be invested before the second credit certification date, and 100% of investment authority should be invested before the third credit certification date. And at least 70% of all investments must be made in rural communities as defined by Florida statute. Now to talk a little bit about qualified investments. The eligibility criteria for businesses and investments are as follows. An eligible business is one with its principal operations located in a Florida rural community and has fewer than 250 employees. 2, eligible investments include any capital or equity investment in an eligible business or any loan to an eligible business with a stated maturity of at least 1 year after the date of issue. Qualified rural communities. Additionally, qualifying criteria include the counties in which a rural fund can invest. Displayed on the screen is a map of the Northwest, North Central, and South Central rural areas of opportunity, or RAO. RAOs are defined as rural communities or a region composed of rural communities that have been adversely affected by extraordinary economic events or natural disasters. For detailed information regarding rural areas of opportunity, please visit the RAO webpage. That will be linked on the resource page in this PowerPoint. Next, how to apply. The process for applying is simple. Please visit our webpage at floridajobs.org/rural community investment program, or by scanning the QR code on the screen. As indicated on the slide, you will then be taken to you will click on the application icon in the top right-hand corner of the screen. A new page will appear, and you will be prompted to log in. Please select "Not a Member" and begin the application process. Please note the resource page here, providing links for the following information as discussed in the presentation. At this time, I'd like to now introduce Mandy Wright with the Sutherland Capital to speak about the Florida Rural Investment Fund.
Well, good morning. Thank you so much for having me. We're thrilled to be here. So excited to be working in Florida. As you mentioned, I represent Sutherland Capital and the Florida Rural Investment Fund. I've had the pleasure of running around rural America and now and have already been running around rural Florida. So I look forward to meeting all of you. If I haven't met you yet, I will be stopping by. So look for me because I definitely will be in your community soon. So with that said, I'd also like to introduce my colleague Thomas Brown, who will also be speaking today. And we're going to share a little bit about the program and how we work and why the program is so important and useful for you in your community. With the next slide, you'll see that the intention behind the program is to really create jobs. And so we're looking for companies that are needing to grow, and for whatever reason, their bank partner maybe is up against regulatory environment and cannot lend additional funds. And so we are here to help those companies really continue to see that acquisition of new real estate, purchase new equipment, working capital. There are lots of reasons why business owners need that extra capital, and we certainly know the importance of having that access. And so with our funds, they can pretty much do whatever they need when it comes to growth. And again, the main intention is to create job growth and help continue to establish that rural tax base. So that's really what we're looking for, companies that are excited about growing, need to grow, and companies that are looking to relocate to the rural areas. With the next slide, kind of talks about, and I'll let Thomas, I'll introduce you and let you jump in here too, because I know you'll want to talk a little bit more about our overview.
Yeah, thank you, Mandy. And like Mandy said, we're very excited to be here. This is our fifth fund, and in terms of any program that we have participated in, I can say that this one is near the top in terms of programs that we are most excited about. And so, with that, the Florida Rural Investment Fund is a $50 million fund looking to deploy growth capital into rural communities. We can provide debt, we can provide equity, we can provide a combination of both. We're looking to invest anywhere from $2 to $15 million per investment. Ideally, we're looking to partner with businesses who have some sort of growth initiative, like an expansion, an acquisition, starting a complementary line of business, anything that ultimately leads to additional jobs in Florida. That is what we are looking to do. And ideally, we are targeting the sectors of manufacturing, healthcare, agriculture, distribution, construction services, and energy. So it's a pretty broad base. We have worked with companies all over these sectors and have done fairly well with these companies. And so with the next slide, I think we've touched on this a little bit, but the businesses must have less than 250 employees and must be primarily located in rural areas. And so with the next slide, as we already looked at, this is we're targeting counties of less than 75,000 people. However, 30% of the fund can be deployed anywhere in Florida. So if you have a growth initiative or know of one in Florida, we are absolutely interested in taking a look at it. And the rural areas of opportunities do extend into some non-rural counties. So for example, Pasco County, I know Dade City is highlighted, in Polk County, Auburndale is highlighted, in Manatee County, there's Palmetto. So there are a handful of other counties and other municipalities that do qualify. And so I would just say that if there is an opportunity to work with a business that is going to grow, we think it makes sense to take a look, and we can see if they fall into one of those areas.
And Thomas, I know you didn't mention this, but I did just see a question come in about
Oh,
aerospace and space in general. And, we actually are very close with that industry, believe it or not. And so it's something that we do have some expertise in. And so, yes, we are absolutely interested in helping companies that are focused in aerospace and defense. I know there's a conference coming up this next week, and so we will be there and excited to talk to those companies that are really looking to expand throughout Florida in those industries specifically. So with that, I did want to answer the question, and I apologize. We can go on to the next slide. Sorry to interrupt you there, Thomas.
no, good. Yeah, and great question. We are absolutely interested in space and defense industry. So the capital, again, we can be as flexible as possible. I think our goal is to meet with an entrepreneur, understand what their current financial history looks like in their company, what they want to put the capital towards, and then it's our goal and job to kind of come up with a capital structure that works. Typically we've seen interest-only loans being of interest. So typically in a construction period, a construction loan, you pay interest only through the first year or two during the construction project. But after that, the loan typically terms out and amortizes, and you begin to pay principal as well. We don't have that requirement. We give the entrepreneur the flexibility to pay down principal after that period of time. So, our understanding is that in a perfect world, right, a business will perform evenly throughout the year, but you might end up having something, realistically, something coming up where cash gets tight, working capital gets tight, or maybe there's another growth initiative that they want to do internally that requires additional cash. And so we've found that this allows a business to stretch their cash in order to grow more effectively and execute on that plan. And so we kind of put it in the business owner's hands of it's up to you if you would like to pay down the principal on the loan. It's your choice, but it's not a requirement. And we're happy to work with them in helping establish a schedule if they would like to follow one. Capital positioning. So, we can be subordinate. We can be we can provide equity. Our goal is to not compete with local community banks. We're here to help. And I would say that a lot of the times we actually receive referrals through existing banking networks where, they may have a borrower that, like Mandy said, has a growth initiative. It's an entrepreneur that they've really enjoyed working with, but they are against their limit in terms of what they can provide. And so we are happy to step in and help support their dream. And then on the equity piece, and on the debt, really, right? Like we're looking to work with management teams that are really excited about the next phase of growth, that that have been in the business for a handful of years, have a track record, have an understanding of their industry, and we can underwrite to historical performance, but we can also help them vet out what their projections will look like over the next 5 years, and we can also underwrite and close based on that analysis. So with the next slide, so we get the question a lot about how we differ from a commercial bank. I would say, this is our fifth fund. we typically make 4 to 8 investments per fund, and we are not successful unless the businesses are successful. So the goal of the program is to ultimately create jobs. And if we are doing something that's going to hinder that ability, then we will not be able to exit the program. And this is something that we want to continue to do. So job growth is very important to us, and we will do whatever it takes in order to help someone succeed. And so what that typically means is, we're more than just a financial and capital partner. We can be as involved in the business or as little involved in the business as someone would like. We're a strategic resource that they are able to tap into. And so we can provide CFO level support. We can provide financial planning and analysis. We can do cash flow forecasting. We are available to help the entrepreneur make a decision that is ultimately going to put him in a better position. And so we've done everything from being on sales calls to cash flow forecast meetings, helping them look at acquisitions, look at real estate, introduction to bankers. Ultimately, we want the entrepreneur to be successful. And so we focus on our 4 to 8 investments, and we'll do whatever it takes in order to help them. With that being said, we are very quick at making decisions. And so Mandy and I are the decision makers, right? We don't have to go through several different levels of bureaucracy in order to help make a quick decision. So we have a very quick turnaround time. And as we grow, our goal ultimately is to help someone grow into a much larger relationship than what we can provide. We've had a lot of success stories where someone started off with us and quickly grew to a level that we could no longer support, and that's fantastic. That's the entire goal and point of the program. We had a partner where at coming near the end of the relationship, where we helped them go and get 3 different term sheets from 3 different lenders that were regional and larger commercial banks in the areas, and help them select who would be the right partner for them, all while they were able to continue operating in their business and not having to focus on compiling data rooms and answering questions about their business, because we were already informed as to what was going on with the historical performance. So we bring a lot more than just capital. We bring a relationship and a desire to see them succeed.
And we also do that for the communities too. I know some of you may be economic development folks and specialists in your area. And so because we're across the nation, we've worked in multiple rural areas, we're seeing what folks are doing really across the country. And so anything that we have a knowledge base of, or we can make relationship connections or strategic partnerships for you, we're happy to do that as well.
Next slide. Mandy, you want to touch on some of?
Sure. Yeah. So we thought it would be helpful to share just examples of companies that we've worked with and how it kind of all came to be, so to speak, and where those companies are today. Bison Metals is a copper smelting factory in a small rural community in Oklahoma. And we were actually brought into this transaction through a bank partner. Unfortunately, that business, when it started in the 1970s, it grew, but transitioned different hands and was about to experience bankruptcy when a small group out of the Northeast took over operations. But locally, the real estate fell into some of the community folks' hands because they didn't want to see the company relocate. And so when we met the bank partner for this particular operation, they had just restructured their operating team and they knew they needed to diversify the products that they were selling. And so it took us about a year, which sometimes it didn't take us a year. They were trying to go through their process internally, but we continued to visit with them, and we finally got to a place where we were able to bring capital to them to the point where the company itself purchased the real estate from the community. They are thriving. They've created, I want to say in the last year, 179 jobs, if memory serving me correctly, and their EBITDA has continued to, I want to say, almost quadruple over time. So it truly is a success story. Without this employer in that area, the whole community would have suffered greatly because it is one of the largest, if not the largest employer in that small rural community. So again, that was brought to us by a local bank partner. We've worked together with them and we are still working with them. So very exciting story. The next example that I'll share is a group out of Brooklyn, New York. The entrepreneurs reached out to me, fairly early on as they were looking to try to determine where they wanted to go. And our team, Thomas and I, we met with them and we spoke with them. And what we realized is that while they were astute entrepreneurs and they had saved enough cash to make a move out of Brooklyn into rural Georgia, they weren't real sure how they were going to pay for the move. And where we really were strategic and helpful, we helped provide 100% capital that they needed to purchase the land and the building and some additional equipment. And so they used the capital that they had saved initially, thinking it would be a down payment. They used that capital to make their move. I know since they've made that move, they've been extremely successful. I know Thomas kind of touched on a little bit of things that he and his team actually did to help them grow even stronger financially so they could focus on operations and continue to expand. But it's been a great story. So they were, Hellman Chang was a relocation out of New York. And Thomas, I don't know if I missed any major detail on that
Yeah.
particular
next,
story that you'd like to share.
Yeah, next slide, Ava. Yeah, so Hellman Chang, what I also would like to add is, when we closed this and helped them relocate from New York to rural Georgia, and they focus on the high-end furniture industry. So they handcraft and manufacture all of their furniture by hands. They're beautiful pieces, but they relocated in late 2019. And so during the middle of relocation, the pandemic hit. And so, their industry was greatly affected, as were, most businesses. We had another business in particular that was tied to the film industry, right, where there was a long period of time where their future was very uncertain. And we worked with every single one of our borrowers through that time period. And those two in particular came out very successful and did very well. And so, we have experience in working with these entrepreneurs and getting through tough times, right? Like, we're very flexible. We can be very lenient. Again, ultimately, our goal is to make sure that these businesses exceed through good and bad times. And, this program is a 7-year program at a minimum. So, we'll be in the state and working with these businesses for anywhere from, 7, 8, 9 years. And again, we can't be successful unless they're successful. And we've never had a write-off. We've never had a bad investment. This is our 5th fund. And so the success of these businesses is very important to us. And with this being our fifth fund, we have a lot of experience in seeing, what's worked in other areas, what type of industries typically need to be making certain strategic decisions that we can bring to the table and to the relationship while we're in it. And so I don't know if we have any
Well, with
more
that,
slides or, yeah.
yeah, we're happy to answer any questions anyone might have about the program or how we work. Just any questions anyone might have, we're happy to answer at this time.
For that comprehensive. Thank you, Mandy and Thomas, and the Sutherland Capital team, for that comprehensive presentation. That does conclude the RCIP side of things, but yeah, if you guys are willing to take any questions, I don't know if there's any in the chat that have come through. But if there's not, or someone has a very specific question that's not for the webinar, I've got my contact information there. I'm happy to field those questions through email, or you can reach out to me and we can talk specifically. And if it's directly for Mandy and Thomas and Sutherland, we'll make sure that we get that information to them as well. But one final time, if there's any additional questions.
Yeah, and I'll add that we will be traveling around next week. So if you're in meeting with us, we'd be happy to try to do what we can to schedule an in-person visit.
Well, thank you again, Mandy and Thomas and Sutherland Capital team for today, this webinar, and looking forward to more information. Again, we'll recycle those questions to you guys if they come through after the webinar, and we'll connect with you. And that transitions us to the next part of the webinar.